What's up YouTube, Magnolia Mo here and welcome back to my channel. One of my subscribers recently posted a comment on one of my older videos on Audyssey and how to go about taking the measurements, right? And the question that they posed to me was the following. Try measuring the final two measurements exactly where your ears would be, maybe 4 to 6 inches to the left and right of the first measurement at the main listening position. So I went online and tried to do some research on this notion that you should measure the final two positions, to the left or to the right of the main listening position, as opposed to the Audyssey recommended behind the main listening position, right? So it makes sense because a lot of people don't have the space, right? For instance, to get back there, they may have a back wall or they may not have enough space, right? And Audyssey does recommend taking 8 measurements around the main listening position, right? So not literally like at the seating spots as I've mentioned in my other videos before, but around the main listening position. So if you can't get back there, right, like the 7th and 8th, you should be able to take 2 measurements, to the side, or maybe raise the mic, a few, maybe 4 to 6 inches higher to the left and right of the main listening position. But either way, do the full 8 measurements, right? So in this video, what I wanted to do actually, before I started to do this video, I wanted to actually see how is the sound going to get affected, right? By taking the last 2 measurements, not behind the main listening position, but to the left and right 4 to 6 inches, from the main listening position. How does that alter and how does that actually benefit, right, from an Audyssey calibration perspective? So that's what this video is about. All right, so here's me going through this entire Audyssey setup process using the Audyssey app. On my iPad, I go from position to position until I get to position 7 and 8, where instead of using the traditional Audyssey recommended behind the main listening position, I'm gonna move the place the mic 6 inches to the right and 6 inches to the left of the main listening position. I use what they call a close mic, technique, where I'm taking measurements around the main listening position, right? And the closer you can get to that main listening position, the more accurate the results are going to be. The farther you get, right, if you're going to go 24 inches or you're going to take individual seats, right, measurements from individual seats, you're increasing that area, and Audyssey is going to be less accurate. So I ran the Audyssey, but then I also did the sub-alignment with my left and right speakers. I went through this entire process using REW. I'm going to leave the links in the description below, and I'm going to leave cards too for all the videos, right? First is the how to take measurements from for Audyssey. Second is the best practices, 5 things that you must do before and after you run Audyssey using the app. And then the last one is sub-alignment, right? How to get smoother bass using REW without mini DSP, but just using the Audyssey calibrated settings, and then time alignment and obviously sub-alignment with your left and right speakers, and then adjusting the crossovers so where you have the best bass response, right? So I did all of that, and here's what I got. So I'm gonna try to put this in perspective, right, as to what I'm hearing, and then compare it to what I'm seeing, right? So I can tell you by listening to some scenes that I'm familiar with, right? For instance, the thumper in Dune 2, the sound is tighter, right, of the thumper. It's not deeper per se, but it's just tighter, right? The eyeball scene from Blade Runner 2049, that the bass response in that particular scene is more powerful, more focused, right? It's not all over the place. So similarly, I watched a Quiet Place, the original one, where my favorite scene is when the creature is coming down into the basement. The bass in that, I used to hear some localization in my back sub. I don't hear that right now, or I didn't hear it, at least when I was listening to it again or watching that scene again. But the bass, right, in certain scenes, right, it just it's just more focused and tighter, right? That's basically what I got from listening, and I guess that is the benefit, because I'm going to show you over here, right? So if you take a look at my screen, this is the red trace is the output of my left speaker with the crossover set at 40 hertz and the sub aligned, right? So this is the March 17th trace that I have over here, and this is the left speaker from yesterday, right? So I am actually kind of combining them together for the sake of this particular video to show you, right? So the blue again is from yesterday, that's the left speaker, and then the red is from March 17th. Now here it is. So the biggest difference that I see, I'm getting deeper response, right, from a sub bass standpoint. Maybe not a whole lot, but just like a couple dBs, a couple hertz, I'm sorry, more, but then more output, right? And especially if I go to about 18, 19 hertz or so, right? It's the difference is 78 versus 77, so it's just, you know, it's differences in a couple dBs, dB here and there, but that's the subtle difference that I'm talking about, right? But then if you take a look at the rest of the spectrum, frequency spectrum, it's pretty straight. Here I was losing some output previously, now I'm gaining the output here. Down here again I was losing considerably, you know, from a output standpoint, between 53 hertz to about 66 hertz, right? There was a loss, 52, 53 hertz, right? There was loss. Now Audyssey was able to compensate for that much better. That goes to the tighter bass comment that I made. Again, the peaks, the slight peaks that I had before, as you can see on the red trace right here, they're gone. It is more flatter than before, I guess, right? And my front, obviously, left and rights are crossed over at 40, so I'm not losing any output at that. Usually at that crossover point, you end up seeing like a dip there, and it's not happening in this case, right? So that is very good. So now let's look at the LFE. So this is the yellow trace is from, this is not adjusted, okay? This is, there's no smoothing applied to it. You can see from on March 17th, 89 dBs where I had measured it originally, but if I normalize it here, I'm losing quite a bit, between 85 to 90 to 93 hertz. And there is a loss of about 20 dBs, right, at that 90 hertz range. That's a null in my room, which with this new technique, let me align them, is gone. This is the new trace right here, as you can see. The null is all but eliminated, just about 5 dB loss still, but not too much. And then the bass, as you can see with the white trace, is flat, almost flat, right? I had more output here before, between about 36 to 47. Audyssey, you know, made that, or tamed that bass down a little bit, and then the rest is fairly straight, right? So it starts off, like if I go at the 20 hertz mark right here, I'm at 88 dB, then it gradually comes down to 84 dBs, around 50 hertz, and then it goes down, right? Which is the curve that Audyssey typically will produce, right? It's not going to be straight, but it's going to compensate, and it's going to increase your lower frequencies, and that's what you see over here. So that's a benefit, in my opinion. Now, the left and right speaker combined. This is the March trace. Left and right speaker combined with Audyssey, sub-aligned. Left and right speaker combined with Audyssey, sub-aligned. Look, left and right getting more output, be it about a couple hertz, but I'm getting more. It's more powerful at it's still 85 dBs, around 18 hertz or so, right? And if you follow the red trace, there's more output, there's more output, there's more output here, and right here. So whereas originally between 52 and 50 and 66 I was losing the output, I have gained that output over here. And then it is flattened out, right? So I can attribute that to this alternative technique over here. Now let's look at the surround left and surround right, right? No separation. Yesterday I took this measurement. Look at this. This is beautiful. They're both the same output, similar output all the way through. So I'm gonna put my bar at about 86 dBs, right? And you can follow the trace, very little change, right? All the way through, and very little change all the way across. So my surround left and right are crossed over at 110 dB. So to about here, they are very close to each other. Obviously there will be some difference because of where they're located in the room, but it's nice and tight all the way across, right? And then my back surrounds, back left, back right, I cross these at 80 because that's where I got the best overall response. Again, from the sub bass region, 18 hertz, it's all pretty straightforward. No change to about 60 hertz, and then there's a little bit of a spike in my back surround right, which then leads to a null in the 140 hertz range. The spike is around 70. Yep, so that would make sense, but Audyssey obviously couldn't fix that. But again, around the crossover region, crossover mark, up until the 80 hertz, they're very similar, except for my back right speaker, which is producing a little bit more bass due to the location. Now let me bring in the center speaker. Again, pretty straight. Center is actually the flattest of them all, which is a big benefit now than before, right? I did not have such a flat response previously from the center speaker. So just gonna bring in all my speakers now. The left, center, right, surround left, surround right, back left, and back right, all within the same range, right? As far as the SPL output and the bass frequencies are concerned. So what does this mean? If you're one of those who only use 3 positions, right, from an Audyssey perspective, I recommend that you use all 8, right? And if you can't get all 8 in, around the main listening position according to what Audyssey is recommending, then you can use the alternative technique, which is, if you have a back wall, or if you cannot get the 7th and 8th position behind you, then you can move, or you can actually measure 4 to 6 inches to the left or 4 to 6 inches to the right of the main listening position, or you can go 4 to 6 inches to the left and right, but a little bit higher as far as the mic is concerned, right? So you could do all of that. You could use the closed miking technique, right, where you are around the main listening position within 20 inches, right, of the main listening position. You can go to 10 or 15 inches if you want to. It'll just produce a more tighter, more balanced, but it'll be more focused for that main listening position, right? And to me, it's perfectly fine, right? But if you want everybody else to get a good, cohesive sound, then maybe just do the 20 inches, around 20 inches of the main listening position. At least you'll get a good, tighter bass response from Audyssey. I think that's the main benefit of this alternative technique, right? Like the rest of this, the frequency spectrum, from a Audyssey before and after and adjustments, right? It's very similar. The differences that I specifically charted out, are in that sub bass and the bass region where it is actually producing tighter bass. All right. So I hope you guys like this video. As usual, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.